Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And I'm here today to talk about the full moon in Aquarius tomorrow, August 22nd, 2021. This is the second consecutive full moon in Aquarius. The first was at the end of July. At the first degree of Aquarius, and tomorrow's full moon is going to be at the 29th degree of Aquarius. This is very significant in respect to the idea that whatever this last month has revealed for you in the way of a certain theme, there's an opportunity to liberate yourself from any constraints. There's an opportunity to revisit your beliefs about a situation or a dynamic within your life, and to start to align to a bigger picture of what you want to experience. So the reason I say all of this is because the 29th degree is the Leo degree. It's a very intuitive degree. It's also, Leo represents my creative output as an individual in the world. It represents children, hobbies, romance, and entertainment, fun. It's a very warm, loving sign. And it very much represents leadership. So now we think about the sign of Aquarius, which represents my hopes and desires. It represents what I aspire to in the world and how I want to bring this into a larger picture of humanity, how I want to be philanthropic. It also represents technology. It represents the internet, social systems without a brain, aka the internet, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc. So I wanted to bring, or to do this video today, to bring into your awareness the idea that this full moon, this is where the moon is in opposition to the sun, and it is at its largest and most potent light frequency. So it's really illuminating a situation so it can come to a conclusion in some ways, and therefore rebirth a new dynamic within your life. And this particular full moon is in conjunction with the planet Jupiter. Jupiter in astrology is a beloved planet. It represents wealth. It represents good tidings, beneficial energy. It represents the ninth house of Sagittarius, where I explore the bigger concepts of life. Who am I? What am I? And I'm willing to go into foreign concepts, ideas, actually physical experiences in order to facilitate that. And we have this in the sign of, space. Aquarius rules space. It's the ultimate frontier to go where no man has gone before. So as this week, because the full moon has an influence not just on the day of the moon, but the ramping up the 3 days before, 3 days after, and then there is a 6-month influence. So this full moon in Aquarius, the blue moon, the second full moon in Aquarius, is going to illuminate something when we hit the new moon in Aquarius in approximately 6 months, whatever it is, until the Aquarius time of 2022. At the same time that this full moon is happening, we have Saturn, which also it rules Aquarius, retrograde, making a harmonious aspect to Venus. Venus represents money. It represents beauty. It represents my possessions, art, luxury, comfort. And this in many ways supports the moon being in alignment with Jupiter. So what I'm trying to get to, I guess, is that this full moon gives us an opportunity to really illuminate and start to put into our everyday experiences structures that support a bigger version of what we want to be in this world, what we want to experience in this world. I also think that there's a little bit of a challenge here as well. We have Uranus, who co-rules Aquarius, has gone retrograde last week. It is in Taurus. Taurus rules the land. It rules the second house. It rules, how do I want to phrase this? There's an energy to Taurus that wants things to be stable and dependable, and Uranus is just the opposite of that. So Uranus going retrograde in Taurus until January 22 is giving us an opportunity with this full moon to illuminate where in our lives we are feeling a sense of vulnerability to the outside world, and to turn that around and to look at what I'm focusing on. As I allow myself to focus on the idea that I have evolved as a human being, I've evolved as a soul on this planet. And rather than trying to release old dynamics and liberate yourself in sort of a combative way, it's about giving yourself an opportunity to see your evolution and to slide more effortlessly into a new experience and a new way of being. I also think, as I started to talk about, that there will be a polarization of beliefs. Jupiter rules the 9th house of beliefs, of our religious beliefs, our spiritual beliefs. And we are experiencing polarizing dynamics right now in all sorts of genres, from our politics to our medical practices to how we deal with our educational system, our children, masks, no masks, etc. So as this sort of polarization of beliefs takes hold, I believe that it's not to scare us or I believe it's here to liberate us. I believe it's here to further take that fine comb and allow the human to truly use the earth plane as the nirvana it's meant to be, to create, to feel the empowerment of our own intention, and then to see it start to manifest. So the breaking away that I think is coming, this polarization of beliefs, is sort of the dynamic of taking the old, which has not served us because we've evolved past it, and renovating that idea to be more current and fresh in our new perspective of life. And quickly, I want to just go through the 12 signs by rising sign and give you a sort of a tagline of what this is going to be, or what the focus will be for you. So if I start at Aries, this is in your natural 11th house where this full moon is taking place. So it's going to be illuminating and culminating the idea that you aspire, your hopes and your dreams, how you want to project yourself into the general population. And it will illuminate the idea of how you have emotionally traversed this. If for some reason you've been fighting, Mars rules Aries, then this is about relaxing a little bit into your emotional body and allowing that to be the rudder of your emotional ship through your wants and desires. If you're a Taurus rising, this is going to be in your 10th house of achievement. This is about how you're viewing yourself in your professional world and how your reputation is preceding you in the outside world. And there's an opportunity for you to close a chapter and start to rewrite a new chapter, more again aligned to how you would like yourself to be seen in your professional world. For Gemini, this is going to come in your 9th house. This is where you explore bigger concepts of thought. You explore bigger concepts of how you see yourself in the world in the view of your beliefs, both how you've educated yourself, how you have adapted to religious dynamics. And when I say that, I don't necessarily think formal education, although the ninth house represents PhDs, masters, philosophies of a bigger nature. I also believe that life itself gives us a certain amount of education. So I want Gemini to give themselves the opportunity to think that their exploration is not just behind the walls of academia. For Cancer, this is going to be in your eighth house. I transform. The natural eighth house is ruled by Scorpio, and it rules the death and rebirth experience. This does not have to be a physical death, but again, this is a revolutionizing yourself from beliefs and dynamics that may have felt sort of oppressed or depressed, and giving yourself an opportunity to expand. For Leo, this is going to be in your seventh house of partnerships. How do you traverse partnerships? What is your belief about partnerships? And if indeed somehow you have been holding yourself back, then the harmonious trine between Saturn and Venus, which is currently in Libra, the seventh house of partnerships, will allow you to rewrite the structure. I've been shown in my meditations over and over again that Saturn is wanting to evolve as well. Saturn represents the father energy, and oftentimes is depicted as depressing and oppressive and very taskmaster-ish. And while I know that that is an element of Saturn, I also believe there's a loving father in there that is holding us to our wants and desires, not for control per se or for dominance, but rather to help guide us to our highest and greatest good. So as we look at, and as Leo looks at, how do you partner? And are you partnering in a way that's truly authentic to how you feel romance and feel love and feel valued in relationships? Virgo, this is in your sixth house of service and also the house of health. So I want to offer this because the minute I said the house of health, I feel like this is about your nervous system. This is an Aquarius full moon. It rules the nervous system, and stress is not really good for our immune system. So I believe for Virgo, this is an opportunity for you to truly expand your belief and rewrite the structure of how you feel duty to others. And if that duty, including your employment, is stressful for you, this full moon may illuminate so much stress that you realize that it's not really serving your abundance. It's not really serving your highest and greatest good. And it may be an opportunity and an illumination that as you allow for the universe to show you other opportunities, you may decide to make a change in your health dynamic and in your employment or your employees, because it rules both. And I'm going mostly to stress and stress from the mind. Libra, this is in your fifth house of I create. It's also in the fifth house of your children and of romance. Right now, Venus is traversing Libra, so it's in its natural sign. This is a warm, fuzzy feeling. And this moon can illuminate for you and liberate you from old dynamics. And I feel like as I say that, little bit of judgment on what you create, or a little bit of worry attached to your children, or the idea of birthing children into the world. So I really want to offer the idea that Venus rules things that feel warm and cozy. And the experience of parenting, while it is very challenging, it feels for many as if it completes a cycle. It completes the family. So as you give life to any challenges that you may be experiencing with your children, or conceiving children, or finding romance, could be because your emotional body is attached to a belief that no longer has served you. And now you get to liberate yourself from that belief, AKA Jupiter. Scorpio, this is in your house of home, in nurture, how you nurture and how you feel nurtured. This represents also property It represents the homestead, the land which you live on, the ocean which you swim in. And so this is an opportunity to really illuminate your beliefs on how you nurture others and how you feel nurtured. And I want to offer this because Scorpio is a very deep sign. It is a sign that sees what is not seen with the eyes, and it's very intuitive. So as you recognize that part of yourself, it gives you an opportunity to nurture yourself in ways that other people cannot. And I feel like it is on some level your opportunity with this full moon in Aquarius to liberate yourself from old concepts of how we nurture. Oftentimes when we think of nurturing outside of ourselves. So giving yourself an opportunity to take a salt bath, giving yourself an opportunity to sleep in, really nurturing yourself, giving yourself a facial if that makes you feel good, or even sprucing up your home environment to feel more authentic to who and what you are. I think this will be what's illuminated. It also may illuminate some imbalance within your home. And in doing so, I don't think it necessarily means an ending as much as it might mean the transformation to a higher vibration. So challenge actually, rather than creating a break and creating a disconnect, can create more connection as we have a ceasefire as far as pointing out what's been out of balance and starting to look at yourself and how do I nurture myself within this home environment. I think that'll really help. Sagittarius, this is happening in your third house of I think. It's also the house of my community, my neighborhood, my siblings, my teammates, my workmates, my interactions with people within my hometown, within where my everyday, it rules sidewalks and roadways, things like that. So as you become aware of how your emotional body, the moon, full moon, is illuminating that your thought process and your emotional body are interconnected. I am what I think, and I emotionally act out on that. So for Sagittarius, your ruling planet Jupiter is in conjunction with this full moon, allowing you an illumination to now travel into new places and to honor that what you think is valid, and yet there's more to explore. Sagittarius is the natural explorer. So giving yourself an opportunity to really expand on your beliefs. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I recently had a dynamic from my story, my history, and I have a pattern of feeling a certain way in this dynamic, and that is sadness. And when I took a second look at that dynamic in today's world, I realized I wasn't sad about it, that I actually felt a sense of relief about it. So I want to offer Sagittarius that as you experience this full moon in your third house of how you think about your community, about your neighborhood, about your siblings, about the interactions with your workmates, teammates, you may find that an old pattern is not as active as the evolved version of yourself. And now it's time for you to start to acknowledge that by thinking about the evolved version of yourself. For my Capricorns, this is in your second house of I have, my possessions and also my skills and my family history. So as Capricorn allows for this liberation, this actually emoting into a new belief system. And this is where I want to say, Capricorn, you're no longer the cranky old goat, but the baby goat. It's excited, it's dancing around and feels very playful. Because I think that as Capricorn adopts a more playful attitude, you will actually attract more security, more money, because the second house rules our money as well. And I think it'll take you and allow for this Jupiter conjunction with the moon and Aquarius in retrograde for you to, did I say Aquarius? I meant Uranus. Uranus in retrograde, allowing you to reassess your possessions and the things you want and start to capitalize on the things that you enjoy, and then start to purge some of those things that just became things that you think you wanted, you thought you needed in case. Sort of, my grandfather used to have a dresser drawer at the top of his dresser, and there was nothing, there was no clothing in it. It was rubber bands, it was dimes, it was quarters, it was all these weird trinkets. And because he experienced the depression, he had a tendency to hoard certain things thinking he may need them someday. He didn't anymore. So that's where I'm going. For my Aquariuses, this is your second full moon in your first house of self. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to revisit how you see yourself and to liberate yourself from any versions that other people have of you. This is about embracing your uniqueness. This is about allowing yourself to say, you know what? I'm a natural explorer. I'm naturally willing to go into places. You know, I'm thinking of space. I'm thinking of Star Trek, to go where no man has gone before. And in doing so, you won't be a herd animal. You won't be really vibing within these old structures. While Saturn is co-ruling your planet or your sign, Uranus is really dominant now. Uranus wants to liberate. Uranus wants to acknowledge your evolution and to live in the renovated version of yourself versus the old version. So I really want to offer you this sort of uplifting view of how you're viewing yourself. And finally, for our Pisces, this is in your 12th house of I Dream. Because it rules bedrooms, it rules sleep. It also rules prisons and hospitals, past lives and ancestors. So it is a very spiritual house, but it's also a house that's known of troubles. So this is an opportunity to dream bigger than you've dreamt before, to ask yourself if your troubles are still current, or if they are something that chases you because you're always worried that that's going to happen. Because this idea of Jupiter being conjunct the moon, the full moon, is going to illuminate your beliefs. And these are the beliefs you hold deep within yourself that you don't really share with others. It's a very, in some ways for me, a very personal house. Because the things that I experience in the bedroom, and this isn't sex, that's the 8th house. This is sleep. This is vulnerability, like it rules hospitals. So when you're in the hospital, you're vulnerable to other people helping treat you. So what I'm getting at, Pisces, is this is an opportunity for you to dream beyond your restrictions, dream beyond what has been, and to allow yourself to implement the more spiritual dynamic of the 12th house, that as you bravely look at your beliefs about yourself, that you can transform them and then take your ruling planet Neptune and start to write a new story of yourself that is more congruent and more aligned to where you are evolved to be. Okay, so that's it for this full moon. I will be back next week, probably towards the end of the week, with your September heavenly horoscopes. And I look forward to hearing your comments and seeing what you have to say. Please subscribe, please like, please share these videos. It is my honor and my pleasure to be here and to share this information with you. So I hope you find it of value. If you'd like to book a private reading with me, my information is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.